To Joe's Astrology. If you're new here, check out my other videos. I have hundreds of birth chart analysis of famous people and famous YouTubers. And this is the birth chart for astrologer Chris Brennan. He's the founder of the Astrology podcast with almost 200,000 subscribers. That podcast also features Austin Coppock, who is one of my favorite astrologers online, as probably many for many others as well. So here we have Chris Brennan. I'm going to make this a short one. I'm looking for here there, because his chart is very easy to look at and explain. With him being a public person, we see he was born during the day, so this is a strong day chart here with uh, the sun above the horizon. Is the moon below the horizon, so pretty good placements there for the sun and moon based on sect there, with the sun at the top and the moon under the horizon there. He's got a Aquarius rising, so definitely comes across as an Aquarius person starting that podcast. He's very neutral. He doesn't really offer his opinions too much. And we see that the ruler of that ascendant is Uranus, and it's there right next to the midheaven with Venus in Sagittarius. So Uranus rules the chart, and he is obviously an astrologer, and Uranus is a planet of astrology. And with Venus there in the 10th, you can see that he has good fortune when it comes to, or we could say he makes his money, being a public figure promoting astrology, or even being an astrologer, with that aspect there being in the 10th. He's got a Sun, Saturn, and Pluto and Mercury in the 9th. So definitely a guy who's in this life is trying to seek out the truth, trying to find out what's going on in the world. And he's a published author. So we see Saturn, not just Saturn in the 9th and the Sun in the 9th, but he has Mercury there as well, which would correlate to being a published author for sure. Mercury being the planet of writing. And he's written a book on Hellenistic astrology, so we can see those planets in Scorpio. And it's a version of astrology that's pretty blunt and tells it how it is. More fatalistic, I believe, than free will oriented. We can see that there with the Saturn there and Pluto and being in the sign of Scorpio. Is Jupiter and Mars in the 11th in Capricorn. Jupiter and Capricorn, which I'm going to get into here next. Jupiter and Mars being in the same sign, close to being in conjunction, could be a very ambitious person, someone who wants to be at the top of the industry. And clearly with the Astrology podcast, he's made a lot of effort to do that. And with Jupiter and Capricorn, from what I can see now, after so many years, he is no longer actually giving readings. And if you go to his website, so we see this emphasis on the 10th house, we see this emphasis on Scorpio, and we have this Jupiter, Mars, and Capricorn. If you go to his website, now he has a bunch of astrologers on there, and he's promoting them. I'm not sure if he gets a cut or how that works, but it seems, again, I'm making assumptions here. It seems that now his business is set up so that he's not giving readings, but he's through the Astrology podcast, he's sending people to other astrologers and then taking a cut off that. So that is a very Capricorn, definitely a Capricorn quality. And with that Jupiter in Capricorn, we see that, and we see the emphasis on the 10th house and the emphasis on Scorpio and other people's money. I mean, that's a perfect setup. That's what people who have these alignments do. My father has Jupiter in Capricorn, and you should see him operate his business where he's for the I mean, he does work, but he stands, especially towards the end, he would stand there and just direct and teach people, as if he was like a director, or this grandiose figure, Jupiter, um, being the boss of the business, Capricorn. And I also have another friend who has Sun and Moon in Capricorn, and he is constantly thinking with his businesses, like he won't touch a business, especially as he got older. He won't touch a business unless he can hire employees. Yeah, I'm not making any judgment on that. It's just, it is what it is. But it's one thing I wanted to point out with his chart that was interesting, because most people see him as being a professional astrologer, which is part of his life. But I thought it was interesting to see um, how it changed over the years, because uh, not all astrologers do that or can do that. He has Neptune here at 29 degrees, so this idea of teaching, being interested in spirituality, the hidden things of life is very much emphasis with that 29 degrees, and it's making a sextile to his moon. His moon also makes a trine to Pluto, so more emphasis on psychology, looking at the hidden things in life, being an investigator, a researcher. Also would say there's a major emphasis in his life on research. Like I said, he's a published author, and you can see the idea of running the astrology podcast and running his YouTube channel as being the support for him, being some support as he's moving forward in his life, so that he can continue to do the research, uh, and maybe publish more books, because that is what seems he's primarily interested in. See, the part of fortune is in Gemini, if that's correct. I got this birth time from astro.com, so assuming this is correct, uh, he, with the part of fortune there conjunct Chiron in Gemini, he's very much invested in information, and makes his money off of information, and bringing that information to the public, or even for himself, uh, is very healing and cathartic with that Chiron there. North Node in Taurus, nice Ceres asteroid conjunct the North Node. He's making money. He's making money off the internet. The ruler there, Venus conjunct Uranus. You could also see that uh, internet emphasis and making money off the internet with Uranus Venus there, and it's his North Node. And he's doing that through service. You see the Ceres conjunct the North Node. He's doing that through doing good work, quality work, and service to the community, and that's why he's getting paid. That's why he's getting paid. You see the South Node again being in Scorpio, so we see the emphasis here on the Hellenistic astrology with that Mercury Saturn, and the research, the emphasis on being a good business person, making being a good business person in the way he's carried out his business, etc. You don't always see that with astrology or other businesses in general. This guy is a very adept businessman for sure. He has a Mars Saturn sextile, and a Mars Sun and Mars Mercury. So very much, even though he doesn't really, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so you can see that he doesn't shy away from the dark information. I don't think his podcast is dark, but if you watch the astrology podcast, you can tell that we could see with Hellenistic astrology, and He, um, he's not. He's probably somewhere in the middle between positive and negative. He's not overly positive. He's not overly optimistic. He's not overly negative. He's somewhere in between. Is a good use of that Mars Saturn with a sextile there as the aspect. Jupiter Sun sextile, opportunity to be a teacher. Obviously, with the ninth house emphasis, he's a teacher, he's a philosopher, he's interested in higher learning. And I think I'm going to leave it there for now. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Check out my other videos, and I hope you subscribe to the channel for more great astrology content.